Hey, what's going on? Welcome to My Word, My Music, where I speak about my music and everything that comes about in my word, and also in my world. Now, you might have seen a couple of videos beforehand that I spoke about different tracks um, within This Is My Neighborhood, my first album of a whole bunch of works that I've done, throughout the years. But it was my first album that I actually put together. Um, there's a little story behind it, and I figured in this segment I would let you know this story. Um, this album started around 2013, 2014. Um, the title track, um, "This Is My Neighborhood," was actually done in a music store, Skip's Music, out in California. Uh, I was a salesperson there. So during my breaks, we had a small little studio with some gear inside that we would go ahead and show um, folks that wanted to test out gear or have certain gear explained to them. And I would go ahead and get inside and during my break, and they had Studio One on the computer. I had not used Studio One before, but I became quickly familiar with it because I was a Logic user. So it was it was funny that I was going ahead and working on this stuff, and I think within, let's see, a matter of 4 days, half an hour, you know, I would get an hour for lunch, but it was like half an hour within each day. I would go ahead and work on something um, for that song, and in total it was about 2 hours, and I was completely done with the song, which eventually wound up being transferred over to Logic. But the biggest problem I had with that song is that I am not a lyricist. I don't I don't sing. You might catch me, if ever, singing in the bathroom. Or if I am close to you, I might go ahead and call you and sing happy birthday to you. That is about the extent of my singing. Um, spoken word, I've had the pleasure of actually writing, you know, um, some stuff, but never actually put it to recording. So, of course, with the title track being This Is My Neighborhood, I had the concept in my mind to go ahead and speak about the neighborhood I grew up in the South Bronx during the 60s and 70s. Um, but again, like I said, the biggest problem was writing those words. It took me 4 months to write the words to that song. Um, I think plenty of trees were used in my writing because I went through a whole lot of paper. But in the end, I was able to go ahead and write it out. And after about, I say, 7 to 10 takes, I was able to go ahead and finally record the whole thing. Um, at that point, I had so much energy, so much, I was extremely proud of what I did. And that pushed me to go ahead and continue on with the rest of the album. Um, Now with the title track, I had I have a good friend. His name is Jesse Zabo. At the time, he was 19 years old, and I mean a fantastic guitarist. He lent out his skills to go ahead and play guitar on this track, which was great, and just had a lot of fun with it. And then I moved on to go ahead and work on other tracks um, with just going ahead and see what I could go ahead and do. Um, but I wanted this full. I wanted this full production of the album. I mean, I've always thought big, so I figured, let me go ahead and do. I'm gonna contact a lot of the people that I know um, in the industry, in the underground house community, things of that nature. Everybody was pretty much on a yeah, 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 yeah. But when it came down to it, a lot of them went ahead and came up with excuses. They went ahead and backed off. I was now getting charged, which if they would have spoke about that initially, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. But to go ahead and come after the fact when I'm just about getting ready to go ahead and book, recording studios and get things going, this is when people just started to go ahead and flake on me. I don't have nothing against any of these people. None. Okay. I respect them all. And I leave it at that. What I had to do was go ahead and work on this album on my own. So most of the instrumentation, it is me. And, I had some help from a high school buddy of mine. Yeah, excuse me, I was caught up in my words there. A high school buddy of mine named David Angel. Well, that's his stage name, and that's what I'm going to go ahead and use, David Angel. And a longtime friend and sweetheart of a woman, Diamond Dancer. Those two were able to go ahead and step forward, without any reservation or angst or anything of the sort, and go ahead and contribute to this album. And I love them both for it. We had a great time, collaborating. At the time, I think David was still in Los Angeles and making his way to Las Vegas, and Diamond Dancer was in Detroit at the time. Or if not, she was down in Florida because I know she moved back and forth, um, during certain projects. But we got it done. And but I got too far ahead of myself on this one because that was the finality of it. Beforehand, I had finished the album on my own because it was pretty much instrumental. Finished it up on my own. It was great. It was now, I had mixed it. Everything was fine. Was getting ready to send it to mastering. And the day that I woke up and was trying to go ahead and get everything together on my laptop, um, my hard drive went up in smoke. Literally caught fire, went up in smoke. I mean, as soon as I booted it up, it just went up in flames. If you think I wasn't upset, I was highly upset. I mean, I was maybe a toenail away from going postal because all that work I had put into this thing, and it was a year and a half of work that I put into it. And, I had finally got it done. I had moved here to DC, and then all of a sudden, it's done. I looked up at the ceiling while this thing is just smoldering. And I looked up and I said, "You just want me to go ahead and do this all over again." I mean, it only took me 5 minutes to go ahead and be upset. And then, of course, I made that statement. So, come the next day, I actually, um, good thing I had a backup of a system I could use. I didn't have the music backed up. That was done and gone. That was done and gone. But um, I spent the next 6 months putting this album together from scratch because I could not remember, um, what key anything was in, what BPMs, what were the chord progressions. I could not remember anything. The only thing I had was the words to "This Is My Neighborhood" because I had put it in a Word document and then put it on my phone. That was all I had. I had to go ahead and start this thing from scratch all over again. So that's where Jesse Zabo, David Angel, and Diamond Dancer come in. And I have to say that the second time around for this album, I believe, was the best time of this, um, that this album could go ahead and be produced. And it was a blast. It was a complete blast to go ahead and put this, this whole album together. Um, because it speaks of me being in different places around this country and around this world. Not in particular the places, but the association with the places that I have been. Just around the corner, we could go ahead and speak on when we're just walking and we turn the corner, and it could just be just plain Jane, or it could go ahead and be a whole new experience for us. Or we could be somewhere around, on the other side of the world. We could be at a market and we could turn the corner and there's something different. You know, taking a stroll in the park. I mean, the Central Park stroll. Since I lived in New York for years on end, I used to go ahead and not only roller skate, bike ride, but also take plenty of walks in Central Park. And the best times were taking those walks. I mean, you're talking about from 59th Street to 110th Street, um, and back. And those were absolutely great walks because you got to see so many different things. People don't go, not too many people get to go ahead and see the full um, ambient structure, life of this park because they're riding through it. They're driving through it. They're riding their bikes through it. But if you just tend to walk it, if you have the time to go ahead and walk it, I mean, there's a whole nother experience there. Um, I could go ahead and go on and on about this album, but in the end, um, I have to say I'm very proud to have gone ahead and put this album together. Um, it came out, digitally in 2020, and there wasn't a lot of fanfare. A lot of people were thinking that it was going to be a house album, and I made very clear that it wasn't a house album. You have your R&B, you have your funk, you have world beat music. I mean, you have there's different genres on there. Genres that I've grown up with. So that being said, some people accepted it, some people didn't, and that was fine. I moved forward with it. There were CDs that were manufactured for the album. That and there was a limited edition, so that went pretty well. Um, and then I decided this year, 2025, that I would go ahead and put it out on vinyl. And I look forward to receiving my delivery of the vinyl. If you catch this video after October, mid October, I've already received it. And it would be best that, you find out if you can get your copy, because there will be a limited edition. I'm not doing a huge run on it. I'm keeping it short, but and it's just for the purpose of legacy. Just like anything I go ahead and do is about the purpose of legacy. It's about the purpose of giving something back to my ancestors, through spirituality, through all that is me. So I say this: take the time out. If you can, get onto my Bandcamp. You'll find the album there. This is my neighborhood, with a bunch of my other music, and take a listen. Immerse yourself. I will speak more on the different tracks um, of these, on this album, and just to give you a perspective of where my mind was at, what was my thought process in producing and composing, these tracks or these songs, and what did I use at the time. You know, um, some of the stuff you see behind me was not used. I didn't have it at the time. So, um, so I hope you like the information that I've gone ahead and provided you today. I look forward to reading your comments. Please give this video a like and subscribe. And I say I appreciate you, fully appreciate you. This is Sal Negro saying, my word, my music. Peace.